My name is Beth McDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Japan. I'm usually coming to you from Bermuda, but this week or these last weeks, my son and I have been traveling to Japan to celebrate his high school graduation and 18th birthday. Oliver's always been interested in Japanese history and culture and always wanted to come to Japan. And so, from quite a young age, and it just seemed like a lot at that age, a long way to go and a lot to take in. Sorry. So I always sort of said, "Oh, when you graduate high school, let's talk about it." And so he graduated high school. It's amazing how time flies. And I'm so glad we waited. It's been fantastic, and it's definitely at the right age. Um, it was a long couple flights, and it's been fantastic. We've had a lot of all day tours and things like that. So it's intellectually intensive because it's quite a different culture, but yet there's still a lot of an incredible amount of commonality. So we feel very comfortable here. It's very safe. It's very clean. It's very interesting. The food is really good. I've never eaten so much protein in my life, so definitely good for the perimenopause, sort of, hitting your protein goals. Definitely doing that, probably by the end of breakfast. But that's all good. And yeah, we're having a great time and learning lots. So right now we're three-quarters of the way through our trip, and we're in a really beautiful area called sorry, I'm spacing out on me because there's so many little word or so many words that I'm trying to remember, and sometimes I go blank. Anyways, so we're in a traditional Ryokan, which is a traditional resort spa hotel. It's very much designed aesthetically in the traditional Japanese sort of Zen way. It's very minimal. I'd show you the room. Maybe I can take a picture of it or after it's been cleaned because we've slept and it's a bit messy. Not messy, messy, but disheveled and being used, and Oliver's using it now, anyways. But yeah, so it's a very sort of classic hotel space room. And a ryokan is, like I said, a spa. So we're in the mountains, and in the mountains, there it's still sort of an active mountain area here, and so hopefully we'll see that. But as you can see, it's pretty rainy and gusty and windy. But yeah, so there's hot springs, and the hot springs are channeled down to the Ryokan areas for thermal baths. And so this is a thermal bath sort of hotel, which is lovely. There's a central one downstairs for all the hotel guests. I think there's only 16 rooms here. Um, and we will maybe go check that out. But to be honest, we have one on our porch right around the corner. Oliver's in there right now. It's in a sheltered little corner, which is fantastic because of the wind and the rain and everything right now. But you can sit in this hot spring bath in shelter and watch and relax and enjoy the peace and quiet and the views. It's a bit of a valley. We're on the, sort of three-quarters of the way up a mountain, so you can see the valley below. Not so much today, but it's really lovely. So we flew into Japan maybe 10 days ago and been into Tokyo, um, Hiroshima, Kyoto, and now we're in Haikonen. Sorry, that was the word that just escaped me earlier. It's a very small area. So, yeah, and we're here for just today and tonight. We arrived yesterday afternoon, and we will go back to Tokyo for 2 more days and then fly home. So it's been really wonderful. We've learned tons, and we've um, tried to retain all the words that are important. Um, it's been just such a fantastic trip. It's such a wonderful, comfortable country. Feel very safe. It's very clean. It's clean on a whole new level, which I love, and I'm learning little tips and tricks all over. But yeah, it's wonderful. Everyone is really friendly. Sorry, I've got it just cutting over a little head cold that just from exhaustion. Um, excuse excuse me. Yeah, everyone's been really friendly and comfortable. Oliver loves public transport, so he's sort of figured out the subway systems in the different cities or in Hiroshima, there's no subway, it's all trams. He liked that too. He tried that out. So yeah, so Oliver's been my navigator, and we've had lots of day tours and seeing temples and shrines. A castle yesterday in Haikunen, which is apparently a very critical castle for the civil unrest in the sort of 1600s. And yeah, just learning so much about the history of Japan. And it's been wonderful. So if you'd like to see more pictures, I'll have a few videos at the end of this, but it's not going to be much. Just um, I take a lot more still photographs. So there'll be some videos at the end, but if you'd like to see more, do check out my Instagram. I've been using Instagram as sort of a travel journal, and it's been really wonderful because I can put in the names and things. And I actually do look back on our travel journals on Instagram a lot because it's really fun to just sort of revisit and stuff like that. So it's fun that my travel journal is so easily shareable with everyone else, and I hope you enjoy that. My Instagram, if you're not already following, or oh, I hate that word, but if you don't know me on Instagram, my information is down below. So please do click through it. It's been fun uploading those pictures too, because we've just had so much fun. Anyways, so really we're here for knitting. Um, I haven't been doing much knitting while traveling around Japan. It's been a pretty intensive itinerary, and I hope to do a little bit. Sorry, this is at the very end of my little head cold. Um, and I hope to have a little bit of knitting time today because it's sort of a chill, bad weather day. Um, but I did knit a lot on the airplane. Our flights were 6 hours from Bermuda to London Heathrow, and then a 2 hour layover there, and then 14 hours from London Heathrow to Tokyo. All very comfortable. I think when you mentally know that you're going to be there for a while, a good while, I just settled in and watched a lot of movies, and I couldn't sleep. I had intended to sleep because I think I was too excited, but I said I knit a lot, which is really fun. And anyway, and I also got to meet some of the stewardesses, or there's I think there's a different word too. Flight attendants, and two flight attendants were knitters, and so we had fun chats and stuff like that, and comparing notes and all those good things. So it was really fun. It was really social on the airplane on the 14-hour flight. So on the flight, I really spent a lot of time on this one particular project. These are my travel knitting bags. They're from Bagu. They're really they're nylon, they're thin, and they compress down to nothing and fit inside my handbag when I travel. So what I knit on a lot was this, um, which is the Nightshades by, if I hold it on that side, maybe it's better. Nightshades by Andrea Mowrey. I've never knit any of her, not Nightshades, Night Shift. I've never knit any of her shifty patterns. They're really, and it was perfect for travel because I always want a travel project. 1 second. Sorry about that. Oliver and I are sharing a space, and he just wanted to know where he should go. Anyways, so the Night Shift, really fun. My requirements for travel knitting are ideally not a lot of change of needles because I don't want to bring all my needles with me. So that really is great for shawls, and just something sort of a little bit of interest, but nothing too taxing, so that it's pleasurable, but not sort of I can knit and be distracted too with whatever's going on around. So this is a perfect travel project. I am using Spincycle dyed in the wool, which is the sport weight version, but the pattern does call for Dream State, which is the DK worsted yarn. I just don't really have any, but I have a nice collection of the sport weight, and that's fine. So I'm actually quite far into the knitting as per the pattern, but as you can see, it's pretty tiny. So again, no problem. I'll just keep on going because again, with smaller the smaller gauge, I have a lot more yarn left, and so you can see I put them in these little plastic Ziploc bags that have been used and reused for different projects, as you can see, crossing out and stuff like that. This really helps because I find the yarn gets tangled within each other, and this keeps it all separate and also reminds me um, what one it is. So this one is C or number 3. Anyways, so that's really helpful. It's a really easy trick. It all goes into my one little bag, and it's no mess, no fuss, which I really like. So what I wanted to do was to use colors that were kind of bright and cheerful and sort of run the spectrum that I'm looking for. And then I wanted some dark colors in it because I also find that sort of dark purples and dark blues are great because I do wear a lot of black, and that kind of resonates with that rather than it brings the color matching down to an area where I'm comfortable mixing it with my normal clothes. So it makes it really versatile. So yeah, so very quickly, I'll run through the names of the yarns. I'm going to leave them in the bags. I'm sorry that's mighty crinkly and you won't be able to see them that well, but what I will do is I will insert an image here of all the colors that I'm using together all lined up so you can sort of see the color range that I've been working with. And it's been great. I have been collecting Spincycle yarns when I travel over years, so I just dove into my stash and put together. It wasn't sort of an intentional collection, it was just what I had, and I think they work really well. And I love that. I think it's really fun to do that. So basically, really quickly, A is Big Sky, which is a really nice sort of highlighter yellow, gray, pinks and mauves and peaches. B is Bad Egg, which is another favorite of mine, which is similar highlighter yellow with gray and some white. I guess that one's attached, so I'll keep that over here. C is called Sunday Morning, and I hold it over here, you can see. The lighting in here is a bit strange because the main light is coming from there, and the lights in the room are very yellow, so I'm trying my best to get the best light possible. But yeah, so Sunday Morning is a bit more sort of greens and golds and that kind of tonal range. So C, let's see, where's D? D is Deep Thought, and this is lovely. This is one I picked up at Woolen Folk last year at the Rhinebeck weekend. This is the color from Brooklyn General, and it's kind of, I always think of it as very sort of rhubarb colors with sort of pinks and oranges and corals and purple, like a burgundy with some greens and stuff like that. So that's really fun. So that is number 4. Let's see, this must be number 5, and this is Vibe Check, and that's a really fun, so it's like turquoise and pink and bright and yellow and cheerful. And then the last one, which is number 6, is Purse First, which is where I get all my dark purples and dark blues. But again, sorry they're in the packages. I find it really easy to keep them this way, and I don't really want them to get out and out of order. The other thing I think is really great is that the tails, I find tails on yarn, especially when you've got multiple balls, they tangle with one another, and so this way it really is practical. I'd highly recommend. So yeah, so I'm working on this, and as you can see, it's sort of a bit of a fade going to the dark, and now I believe I'm working dark to a bit light, and then I'll just get creative and keep going until I get the length that I'm looking for, or run out of yarn. That's sort of my goal. So that's been really fun, and that's just the exact right amount of taxing, challenging sort of work that I'm looking for. The other one that's kept me really busy, socks. I'm sure everyone believes in socks being the perfect travel project. I love socks to knit. I think it's really satisfying, and I really, really, really love, as anyone who's been watching me before knows, that I really, really love Magpie Fiber Swanky sock. It's just such a pleasure on the needles. And this color that I'm using here is called Strange Brew. And it's a really kind of pretty golden. Because it's a pretty golden, it made me think of, I'd had in my favorite sword, my Q on Ravelry, the Humlebi socks by Fiber Tales. And if you can see, let's see, if you can see there, on the leg of the sock, there's little sort of lace motif in the shape of a bumblebee. And I believe Humlebi is the Danish word for bumblebee. So that's really fun. Right now I am just finishing. I think I've got one more round to finish the gusset. It's a fleagle heel, so you just basically increase a lot on one side of the sock. And once I finish the increases, then I will be working back and forth on just that side to create the heel turn and then onto the leg. So it's a toe up sock. Um, it's just, this yarn is so good. Can you see those lovely little stitches there? They're just so even, and the yarn does have, I think, a tiny bit of cashmere in it. Yeah, it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And it's just such a pleasure to knit and work with. So I'm really enjoying that. And that's really interesting. So I like to knit my socks. I knit the 64 stitch socks on a 2.25 needle. That gives me a gauge of approximately 32 stitches per inch. And that's what I'm really comfortable with. What I like to wear, what I like to knit, all that good stuff. The other pair of socks, though, this is such an interesting lesson. The other pair of socks that I've brought with me are the Wool and the Gang Kind of Magic socks. And they are great, really fun. It's a self-patterning sock. It's a Wool and the Gang worked with Regia to come up with this. And so the self-patterning is kind of leopard. And there's a couple colorways of this yarn. I really like it. I've ordered more. I think it's really fun. But the important thing for this is that you get the right gauge. Otherwise, the leopard spots or these leopard spots just don't show. So this was really interesting. So I cast this on initially at my usual 2.25 needles, and it was just so tight. So basically all I got was microstriping here, which is not what I was looking for. So I increased to 2.5, and it was kind of taking shape, but still not right. And then I went to 2.75, and it seems almost perfect. The real way you can tell is, this is a cuff down sock, is when you start, you should have even stripes here, the blue, white, blue, and then pink. That should be even stripes there. And if they overlap just a tiny bit, as you can see here, right there by 1 or 2 stitches. So I thought that was pretty close. I wouldn't want to go to 3 because I also find that these stitches are really, really loose. A lot looser than what I naturally like. So I'm trusting the pattern, so you can see how dense and plump those stitches are here and how quite loose and kind of, I've been thinking that this yarn feels a bit weedy versus this, which is sort of plump and juicy. So I'm trusting the pattern, trusting the yarn. I'm assuming that this will bloom a bit in washing. And I'm also thinking that I might even, just because it does feel quite wide at this gauge, because it's a 60 stitch rather than 64, but a much bigger gauge than I'm used to. I think it's 27 stitches per inch, 4 inches. So I might just try and slightly felt them too. But we'll see. I enjoy it. I think it's really fun, and this is just a really easy round and around. It's an afterthought heel, so you see my little yellow stripe there. These socks, if I understand correctly, are supposed to be so that you really don't have any breaks in the yarn, but I have a ton of breaks because after 12 or whatever rounds for my cuff, I didn't really think I needed a huge cuff. I mean, I had this much yarn to wind off, which I'll use on the heel, but it just seemed really strange. Maybe I misread the pattern. Anyways, I'm not sure. So so there's a join here, and then you've got the yellow stripe, and then there's another whole lot of the pink in that section for your heel, which you're meant to sort of hold in the back or something like that. I'm not doing that. I cut that. I've got, all these pink balls here. I've got 4 of them. So they'll be fine for the heels. And then so I reattached and knit down and did the toe. Excuse me again. So the concept is really cool. I'm maybe not executing it totally right, but I think they'll make really lovely socks, and that's all that matters. And yeah, so I'm working on the second one. I cast this on yesterday in the train station when we were going from Kyoto to here, Heikkinen. The train station we got off at is a really hard one for me to say. Onadawa, something like that. It sounds like Ottawa to me, but anyways, that was a train station. So we had a couple hour lovely train journey on the Shinkansen, and this is what I got done. So that's really fun. And I'm glad to be sort of in this sort of round and around because that'll really get me through the last train ride back to Tokyo. And, it's a nice brainless one for the flight or just waiting. I find super brainless like this is really good for, like waiting for a plane, like a waiting room or whatever, where you don't want to pull out sort of a checklist and you don't want to pull out all the other things that, you might need to, even with this sock, where I know this looks like around and around, but with this heel, I have to check off every row because I'm not that familiar with it. And then, of course, I'll be into lace. So it's I purposely picked sort of three projects, each of different stages of intensity. One really simple, which is the wool and the gang socks. One with kind of medium, like, and the level of challenging I want for overall travel, so it's pretty low. This is the sort of medium travel challenge. And then, of course, the NightShift is for when I'm really sat in my airplane seat and not going anywhere for 14 hours, and I can really dive into that and hopefully on the way back get more sleep. So that's pretty much it, knitting wise. The mango tea has had a lot of interest, and I know the test editors have been working and doing beautiful things on that. That will come along and be published on July 11th. The pattern that will come out before then on, I think it's June 20th or the week after, 28th probably, 27th, 28th. I know I've given myself a bit of grace period from this trip. Is the Get Out of the Pool tea fingering weight. So that's coming up then. So lots coming down the pipe this summer, and lots of designs going on in my head. Totally inspired by everything I'm doing and seeing here. And I forgot to say why I'm wearing this outfit. So I've recorded this like 3 times because I've been having kind of technical issues because I'm using a different procedure to record this than I usually do at home. Anyways, so excuse me if I'm jumping around, but and if I've repeated myself, that's also why, because I've been doing this too many times. So I'm wearing a Japanese outfit that when you get to the Ryokan, you put this on because it is a spa. So it's a lovely kind of, you've got a top, this wraparound top, some really cozy pants, and this jacket to go over it. So the jacket you put on when you're going into the public areas, like for dinner or breakfast. And the dinner and breakfast are set and it's just a feast for the eyes and the tummy. Very healthy, high in protein. A lot of fish, a salad for breakfast, really cool. So a lot of fish and salad and soup for breakfast here at the Ryokan. At the other hotels, there's been a real mix, more of a buffet breakfast. Where this is supposed to be the spa experience where you eat very healthy and very beautiful meals that are lovingly presented. I will put some photos in my Instagram soon too of the meals we've had here because it's just been stunning. The presentation and the food and the variety, lots of little teeny dishes and everything like that. But anyway, so this is what you wear when you go down for dinner or breakfast, and otherwise this underneath this sort of pajama suit is so comfortable, and you just wear around for the before and after the onsen and relaxing. It's fabulous. So yeah. Anyways, a lot more photos and videos, mostly photos on Instagram. Do take a look there. And otherwise, I wish everyone great, happy knitting. I hope everything is going well with wherever you are. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Thanks. Bye.